pick up a couple. He's still going. Butler over in the corner. That's the line, over the line he rolls. Burnside, Burnside. Oh, Collegians have turned it over. Oh, he's got it again. He's got to go. Spry will do very well. Spry will go. Port Adelaide will push out, and they will push on to them. So welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We came out into the middle of a moment's silence for Jack Campion's grandfather, Cyril. So we've set one local rivalry for the grand final for Premiership 2 next week, where Woodville will be taking on Port Adelaide. And now we will have the Battle of Green Hill Road on neutral ground. I am sat between Pete Cross from Old Collegians and Tom Hankey from Burnside. So I'll do my best to keep them apart as we go. But again, this is a repeat of round one of the finals, where Old Collegians got up and then went on to face Brighton. Anything learned, Tom?
Yeah, I think that the biggest thing from us is, from us as a neutral standpoint, is that we just don't know what way this is going to go. I've spoken to multiple people from both sets of clubs, and also from this season's already confirmed finalists, which is Brighton, and no one can call it. But I think that if we get half as good as a game as what it was 2 weeks ago, we're all in for an absolute treat today.
So Rockaborough takes the first kick, and then we'll find Meredith. Meredith will send it to Jet. Over halfway. Marshall. The box kick just down the side will find grass and box away. Clever from Pete Cross, and we talked about that. Find the Seagulls.
That is, find a patch of grass. Real clever from Hodge there, just rolling it into the corner, and straight away getting a bit of territorial advantage. But you can feel it around the ground. We're in for an absolute ripper today.
Yeah, we talked about adrenaline and stuff, and geez, it started off, didn't it? First line out win to Old Coles, then into midfield to Bartlett. Bartlett will just put his head down and try and split the pack. Rockaborough to Curtin. Curtin will float it on the outside to Fleetwood Piper. Good covering tackle from Alan Henson. Campion, self-proclaimed king of Tregenza Oval. Messi, and too messy, illegally messy, and the first penalty of the day will go the way of the man in red and blue.
Yeah, well done from Collegians, doing good work there. A couple of phases, chancing their arm with some phase play, to then they get a nice penalty here to clear their lines.
Rockaborough will send it away, and it will be an Old Collegians lineup, 10 metres inside their own half. It is, as you said, this is a coin toss, isn't it, today?
Yeah, massively so, and I think you can actually today feel a real tension in the air. It just feels as though it's something that could go either way. I think both teams have come away from the games 2 weeks ago and would look at significant points of difference that they want to try out today. I think you'll see that Burnside will probably try and do what they can to stop things at source and just make a bit of a mess of the breakdown area and try and use that powerful forward pack that they've got. Not too sure what the point of play will be from Collegians, but they have backs to counter anything. We've already seen it earlier on, a couple of minutes ago, more than keen and more than happy to just play rugby out of their own 5 metre line.
Offside early. So Rockaborough will send it away from us and around halfway. First line out was a bit messy and it put everybody on the back foot. Again, it's messy. Curtin to Man. Counter ruck, half attempted. Now they're away again. Short ball to Bartlett. Can't get away. Rockaboner to big Benny Blackhall. He'll manage to roll off the first one. Bounce to McDonough, has to step back inside, keep it on the island. Blackhall a little bit behind him, so he has to go away, and the interception is there! And Burnside will strike first. 5 points to Burnside.
Well, he's making a bit of a habit out of this at the moment, isn't he, Sam Bolcombe? Just arriving in the right place at the right time, and it's another interception try for him against Collegians. Really controlled play from Collegians. It didn't really look as though there was any oncoming threat. They're looking to play the ball out a little bit wider from that base breakdown area, but Bolcombe's read that really, really well, and he's gone underneath to score the try.
It's a really interesting start, Crossy, because that's lion's share of possession. I know we're hardly got any ticks on the clock, but lion's share to Collegians, and then just a loose pass in midfield. Your heart drops when you let them one go.
It does, and seeing that man Bolcombe again at 12 just slicing through on an intercept, it does hurt. After I was just enjoying the phase play building up from Collegians, good variety and good yards from Benny Blackhall. So it's one of those ones the guys from Collegians just have to take that out of their head. They were playing some good rugby, and just it's one of those ones that went against them, and chance now to build it again.
Really interesting one. I'm going to name drop him again, Shane Barr. I was having a chat with him yesterday, and we were talking about various things, but one of the things we talked about was it was really interesting to see the ruck down here where the Burnside player was really slow to get out the way, but the ball came back. So the talk is no material effect. Good restart, knocked back. Marshall will go for it. Trying to find a way out.
They're the ones who say fire. When they pass it out of scrum, and sometimes in the first
Blackhall makes a mess of it, but not enough. Walton takes on a couple. Marshall steps back inside. Then Blackhall's come to play so far. Out the back to Jep, and Jep will get away. He's managed to stand them both up, and Jep, he will press the loud pedal. 2 tries, both of them under the posts. Burnside in dreamland.
Well, that's an absolute amazing start from Burnside's perspective, and again, it's just control play, just come out of nothing, and it's a really lovely break from Goldie, who's got pace to burn once he gets motoring. I mean, look, this is just an electric start. First couple of minutes in, and Burnside already up by 12 points to 0 up.
Well, whatever Peter Arnold and Rob Smedley had written down in their game plan, they've just torn that page away, screwed it up, thrown it over the shoulder. They've got to rebuild now.
They do. It's not good, Dave, for a Collegians fan watching that. So, it is early. That's maybe the only positive, but the 14 points soon to be, clean break tries, and that's one. It just puts that doubt, and now it immediately Collegians and as Tom Hankey sitting next to me gives a pump of the fist that he's excited. His boys are getting it done from the very start of this game.
So the restart for Curtin. Oh, and Rockamora will take it. Support comes. He's going to do well to get away with that. And there it is. Oh, the good can turn bad so quickly.
Yeah, it was great kick-off. Curtin just finding Rockamora just through the middle, but it was almost those ones where it's too good and he had no support with him.
Yeah. Rahali will look to try and drive them away. huge amount of distance, but they will reset from here. A little tip of the hat to Alex Walwyn, who absolutely pinpoint accuracy returning the ball. Marshall, flat ball into midfield. Oh, huge impact. Sambrook with the dummy run. There we go again, and they'll just find the patch of green again, and it will take a decent bounce. Just keep an eye on Sambrook. I don't think there's any claret. I think he's okay. It's a big impact. That's what you don't want as a dummy runner.
He's been in the wars the last couple of weeks, hasn't he, Sambrook? And he's playing at the moment, I think, with a broken thumb as well. So he's, but again, just willing to put his body on the line. I think also what we've just seen so far is some really good control from Chris Hodgson, who's come in for Leon Immelman today.
Turnover at the line out for Burnside. And again, they start to look dangerous. Walton. Stolen. Howlett did well. Out the back to Curtin. Penalty, and I think that's sure. Just wants to stop the clock and have a chat with someone. Just talking about height again and high tackles, and it can't keep being a conversation, can it?
It certainly becomes one for the referees of getting on top of it early. It makes a cleaner game, a more free-flowing game. So that's the directive.
Cries of not out, and I think they were optimistic. That is absolutely wonderful from Rockerberry. Very optimistic shouts of not out as we just saw it float away on this not insubstantial breeze. Now, driving Maul territory for the men from Tegenza. Oh, I was about to say step one done, but not straight. And the groan from Pete Cross.
Yeah, absolutely. It's that line out that the old Collegians line out fell apart last week against Brighton. Just thought they'd got one right. So hopefully the throw can be just a bit more straight down that middle, because they really need to just set the platform for what's an electric old Collegians backline.
So a defensive scrum for Burnside. Rahale sat deep in the pocket. Ball's at the back, so they're going to use it. Just try and run and make themselves a little bit more space, but not really. Then out to Rahale, the chase is there. And again, we see the wind assist the kickers. So Old Coles will have the line up. 40 metres out from the Burnside line. Certainly no reason to push the panic button just yet. But as time ticks on, if they don't get anything, you'd feel it start to grow. Nice ball to 2.5, really. Then Rockerborough to Curtin, and flat ball to Bartlett. Couldn't make his way through. Rockerborough again. Curtin, flat ball on the outside. Busby will step back inside, and again they will make some good yards. Numbers starting to line up over on this near side. Again, it's messy. Burnside will get the penalty. I started talking about it, but Burnside seem to be getting away with just being a bit slow to get out the way.
Yeah, I think it's something that they were probably looking at trying to do in this game in particular, because I think they appreciate and they respect the threat that Collegians can bring. If you give Collegians the chance to continue on and to build momentum, they're really, really tough to stop.
There we see a missed touch, and Coutser gets to bring it back. Mann finds himself in the central channel at the moment. Rockerborough looks to sniff a hole and it's not really there. Curtin. Busby, good quick hands. Driven back in the tackle. Curtin again, looks for a gap. Half gets through it, but again his support just about in time. Man now will go outside, inside and find doors. Rockerborough again to Man. To Bartlett. Bartlett takes it back inside. Massive contact. Advantage for offside. Howlett looks to go. Man looked for back all. They'll come back. They've got the penalty. So the side entry. Now it's about accuracy for them.
It is actually, and it's the discipline of Burnside at the moment is probably the only element that's preventing them from taking a stranglehold on the first quarter of this game.
So Rockerborough will look to knock it into the corner. It's a massive hit in midfield. I think it was Lamsam who got him. Zach Ellis got him. And it's one of those dangerous ones where you want to finish it. Not that I've ever made a tackle like that, but it's, you can see them wanting to finish it and you've just got to hold back a little bit. The old Collegians loving that 2.5 spot. Now they get going forward. Ball is at the back with Man. Countdown will come from Rockerborough. And they get that second move going. Held up eventually. Curtin to Fleetwood Piper. Tried to find a gap on the outside. Wasn't quite there. Rockerborough gets there. Curtin. Burnside will get up, but they can't quite get a hold of Curtin. He looks for a little gap inside. It's not there. Lost. Another penalty. Hands in the ruck. The breakdown for Burnside at the moment, they're 14 points up and they are, I wouldn't say against the run of play, but certainly possession-wise, Old Coals have had it, but the discipline at the breakdown could start to hurt Burnside.
Yeah, Burnside have got to be careful not to be their own worst enemies here, because it could be a situation where it can be their undoing. I'm actually surprised at this stage that we haven't seen Collegians leave with points just yet. Given the amount of time that we've got left on the game, appreciate that it's 14-0 down at the moment. But yeah, it's unfortunately it's going to get to a degree. Loving the intensity of Burnside at the breakdown area and maybe being a bit overzealous on it, but at the same time, referee's going to be looking at the penalty count, and that's normally going to be meaning reaching into a card.
Curtin out the back, just behind Coutts. He has to go and get it and can't get it. So it will be a Burnside lineup.
Big blow for Collegians. Wanted because of the 14 points down, they wanted to take that chance and chose a scrum, and it hasn't paid off and wasn't perfectly executed. Curtin just trying to get around the outside, and the last pass is going into touch.
Marshall, back of the line there. Dangerous position to play back of the line, shows a lot of faith in your line out set piece. Meredith met hard and in the backfield. Box kick away, and jeez, there you see the power of that wind. That's a box kick that's gone out on the full.
And it almost started to come back towards Burnside's try line. There's worrying signs while it hung up in the air for a while. The wind, when it picks up, can just hold it and drag it so quickly.
Do you feel that Curtin in these early days is just guilty of trying to do a little bit too much?
Yeah, I do. To pick his time more. I like when he starts to distribute more, distribute, and then wait for that perfect moment to have his dart. There's so much other strike power with Bartlett's cracking onto the ball very well. Fleetwood. Like to see him with hands on the ball a bit more, and then as well Busby. So just pushing it around until they forget, Burnside start to forget that he's almost there, and that's when the dancing feet can find opportunities.
Yeah, I think if he wants to open the door, he has to use the players around him first and just make Burnside think about other people. Really interesting battle in the line-out so far though, Tom. Burnside putting up at 2 and 4, and Old Cole's getting a little bit of success in that 2.5 spot as we talk about. Rahali, flat ball. Couldn't quite get away. Again, the box kick. Busby's got that one, has to go over the shoulder. Turns around, tries to find as many red and blue shirts as he can. Oh, dangerous. Little knock on. But too early to push the button, really, you would think.
It is too early, but very casual from Busby. Just cantering back, and I think this is an almost intercept. Oh, goodness.
Yeah, Harrison Rahali had 2 intercept tries at the start of this game, like 20 minutes ticking over on the Wojtek scoreboard. 2 intercept tries, and Prof Smedley and Pierre Arnold would not be the happiest man in South Australia.
Well, certainly Pierre Arnold is a very vocal man. Even watching an under-12s game, if you get around him, he makes some noise and is very passionate man. So, yes, certainly the little mistakes of old Collegians would not give a smile to his face.
Well, the scrum is just absolutely destroyed, but penalty, standing up, driving straight up. Still many people on the floor there. Bullet to take that one quickly. So it's really quite interesting. I've got Pete Cross to my left and I've got Tom Hankey to my right, and to Tom Hankey's right there is a assembled Burnside crowd, and to Pete Cross's left there is an assembled Old Collegians crowd, so I am literally a rose between 2 thorns at the moment. Rockaborough wants to go. Curtin to Busby. They've got numbers. One of them is Coutser. Coutser tries to get around the outside. It's a wonderful covering tackle. Rockaborough again to Curtin. To Dawes. Sambrock and Marshall will meet him. Committee of contact. So we're going to stop. Again, I haven't seen which way he's giving the penalty. He wants to talk to someone, he wants to talk to Blair Marshall. It's really interesting, they've been really slow to get out of the ruck. And I remember playing rugby league back in university, and we used to, first tackle of the game, you would stand and you would hold, and you would hold the tackle down, and you would count in your head and see how long you had. Feels like they're kind of doing that because they are. You'd be worried about the speed of the recycle from Old Coles, and that's one way to slow it down.
100%. We've seen Collegians well in 40 metres back from the try line take a quick tap. The intensity is to pace. The intensity is to play a high, intense cardio game against them, and so Burnside have to be very careful in this part of the field. If they get caught again for not rolling away, for trying to slow that ruck, they could find themselves down some players.
Decide to go fast with the line out as well. All okay. Shouts of rumble. Campion will pick and go. Kind of burrow his way through. Again, it's messy. A little bit upright. Very upright. Very, very upright, and Burnside have turned it over. Again, the little pick and drive from Lemsam just to try and make a little bit of room. That one is going to find its way to McDonough. McDonough will send it in midfield to Busby. Busby with a little bit more about him this time. Sends it to Coutser. Coutser will step back inside, and he stepped back inside to a covering defender. Bartlett with a big don't argue. Rockaborough again to Curtin. Now numbers, big Benny Blackall. One-handed out the back then to McDonough, and McDonough will go. McDonough will score. Lamsam gets him as he crosses the line. They're talking about a penalty try just to guarantee the 7 points.
Yeah, it could be a penalty try, which will mean the try is no conversion required. If that is the case, and we might have, no, I think we're going to be okay for that final challenge on McDonough. But you just saw there, look at this stretching Burnside.
Look at the
and
skills.
even Blackwell one-handed pass and speed in everything they're doing with Collegians, and they'll truly feel now that they can get this done with that confidence booster of the style of play that they want to play, the results that it's brought.
So it looks like Howlett is on hand, and if they need a holder for the kick. Interesting to see whether they start with we talked about it. Discipline's a big issue at the moment for the men from Kensington Oval.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, look, I think everyone's a little bit keen to set their stamp on the game, and that's all well and good. But at the same time, you've got to be careful. You've got to be able to control the controllables. You've got to make sure that no matter what you are doing, it's got to be well within the laws and the confines of the game as well. Otherwise Burnside are going to be in serious danger of having someone sent off, or sent for 10 minutes at some stage. But yeah, enjoying the intensity of the open exchanges of this game. I think from Burnside's perspective, they don't want to allow Collegians to build into it. Otherwise, they'll create opportunities like that and score.
High hanging kick. Campion will show and go. Blackhall again. This time he is dealt with. Man. Curtin again. Out to Bartlett. Bartlett gets his hands free, gets to Fleetwood Piper. Fleetwood Piper will send it to McDonough. Foot race between McDonough and Jep. There is an advantage for High. Fleetwood Piper steps out the challenge. Fleetwood Piper to the corner. Fleetwood Piper will score.
Oh, brilliant. Off my seat for that one. That was spectacular work. Just can't wait to watch that again, really. The speed of everything they're doing at the moment, the pace they've brought, and they've gone back-to-back tries.
Well, we talked about it, and again, this is an interesting one because there was a penalty advantage for Golden Jet for that high one, and Fleetwood Piper, it's strong.
Yeah, it was strong. I mean, I genuinely don't know how that was deemed as overly high from Jep. I don't think that was. I might disagree on that one, but it's a good run away. It's a good finish from Fleetwood Piper. Tails seem to be up a little bit on Collegians' side at the moment, and I'm just looking at some of the language or body language at the behind the post at this stage in time, and I just think that all of that initial hard work from Burnside's perspective undone just quick as a flash. I'm just interested to know, Crossy, from your perspective, where was some of this last week against Brighton?
Yeah, if only. I think the nerves against Brighton really probably got to the guys, and that made a few initial errors. And look, they haven't started well. Again, this game they haven't started well, but they're coming strong through now.
So the wind dropped as he let it go. It's such a difficult day to judge this wind, and I'm going to do well to come out of this weekend with a voice, I think. 10 points to 14. I'm going to come back to you, Tom. I think he got him because he's gone over the shoulder. He's given it. I mean, he's called it anyway. They just seem to be dodging bullets at the moment. We've had 2 talking twos and then 2 high tackles with try scored afterwards. You'd think if the tries weren't scored, someone would be sat down.
I am genuinely concerned that I think for Burnside's perspective that the next time that something like that happens, it's going to be...
Sorry, Alan Henderson. I'm going to jump in. Alan Henderson trying to work around in this outside channel. He managed to sort it out. Rahali goes into midfield to Sambrook. Sambrook spins out of the first one and fights to ground. Rahali again looks inside to Ellis. Marshall. Walton comes back on the short line. Out to Lamsam, who gets man and ball in Kuta. Coming back though. Time is off for penalty. Let's have a chat with Timmy Dawes. Have to wait and see the signal, but I almost get the feeling again that this is just trying to slow the ruck down.
Yeah, it could be here. And look, it was good controlled play from Burnside. They're very good support on each other, even if it's not, clinical and not maybe the desired ball runner. They're very quick to support each other, and that just means you can build the phase count high, and that's a big part of Burnside's game, is get a high phase count. And now with a shot at goal, they've had two scores under the post, which has given them a 4-point advantage, and now a shot right in front as well. So,
but how good is this, guys? I mean, we're 30 minutes in and we've already seen 4 tries. I love watching these games, these two teams play against each other. I think it's brilliant.
Well, I can tell you who else will be love watching this game will be people from Brighton Road, who certainly would like you to beat each other up for the next 60 minutes.
Yeah, I was actually speaking to Brighton's head coach Rich Wasley yesterday. Spent a bit of time with him, and I think from his outlook on it, he's just hoping that this game's going to go into extra time. We just beat each other up, and maybe even a couple of niggly injuries ahead of next week, because it is a quick turnaround and it's high intensity as well.
Well, just be pleased that you were looking this way during that. He's absolutely made a dog's dinner of that one, Shawnee Meredith. But again, that's how difficult it is today.
Yeah, when the wind picks up, and it has right now, you'll see a lot of swing in the ball when it's in the air, and right down Nigel Lamsam's throat. So this will be interesting.
So Lamsam will go, takes on the midfield defence. Penalty, lots of penalties around the breakdown at the moment. Walton lost it forward.
A couple of seems like the pendulum seems to swing a little bit again in terms of the penalty count as well as the score. It's Coles that have had a couple against them in a very short sort of turnaround, but either way, you've taken the quick tap there. It looks as though there are opportunities in front, and unfortunately it's just a handling error that's messed that one up slightly.
You'll recognise this better than I will, Tom, but have we made changes? Has the Burnside pack got some changes in it at front row?
I'm just trying to have a look now.
Well, you keep an eye on that. There'll be an old Collegians scrum. Curtin. Now he does find a gap. Curtin will beat the first line. Now we'll send it out to McDonough. McDonough has to go and prop and stop. He'll step back inside. Finds himself all alone in an island of double blue. Does enough. Curtin to man. Again, they will just reset. Better from Curtin. He chose it better. Busby fires it to Fleetwood Piper. Fleetwood Piper just stops and goes. Can't get away from Alan Henson, sorry. Dawes. Dawes will just put his head down and go. Again, Burnside have managed to slow it down. Curtin steps in and out again. That one is stolen. And a penalty. Not releasing.
The first break from there, from Curtin, was sensational. Just picked his time and accelerated through, and just that one, he was a bit crowded, and it would have been nice to see him push it a bit wider again and really start stretching Burnside from side to side, because only after a few phases I feel Burnside really don't have too much defensive wall left.
It's a gigantic kick from Rahali. I think he's hit somebody's expensive car, judging by the reaction. So Burnside will have the line out just inside their own half. It's been an absolutely intriguing battle, this line-out battle.
Yeah, it certainly has. It's gone one way and the other, and there's a few mistakes that have crept in from both teams as well, as you just see there.
Yeah, another turnover in the line-out. Dawes fights and gets away. And Campion will go. Shouts of rumble. Rockaborough now will find Curtin. Curtin will miss out Bartlett and find Busby. Flat ball out to Coutser. Coutser will now get on his bike. Coutser gone forward. We've talked about this, Crossy, and it's just been, we're starting to see it creep in. Coutser just needs to keep hold of that and trust that his support's going to get there.
Yeah, true, but I think at the rate that he goes, when there is contact, there's often you find himself and the defensive player airborne. But I like the way it was shifted then out wide, and immediately Coutser's a threat, breaks the first tackle, and as we watch here, just it's they're high-speed collisions.
That's just a loose carry, actually, watching that back.
Was there an attempt of an offload there at the last moment? Was there?
Well, I'm not sure whether it is or whether it's a loose carry, but either way, just you want to secure your possession a bit more. Burnside solid in the scrum. Rahale drops it back inside. Balcom met. They go again. Lamsam manages to wriggle his way through. Blair Marshall will pick and go. He's met hard. Runs into a mess, really. Rahale, I'm sure he knew where he was going. Arm is out for another penalty, but we might not need it. Balcom managed to find their way over halfway. Again, just happy to let the big boys do the work. Devlin. Walton will try and find some space out the near side. Now they will go far side with Rahale. Rahale manages to get the offload away. Balcom, one to beat. The one is Busby, and he does enough. Marshall, Sambrook. Space and numbers out here. Sambrook decides to go himself. Bartlett will tidy it up somewhat. Jet picks and goes. Running across the front, trying to find a way through. Can't quite find one. Arm is out, knocked on by Golden Jet.
Yeah, just unlucky there from Golden Jeb. I think what he's looking to do there is just try and find a bit of space, a bit of weaving, a bit of ducking and diving, and he's just wound out carrying that. And again, it hits home the importance of making sure that you're carrying that ball with two hands as well, ladies and gentlemen watching at home. But good patient play from Burnside. I think they're just trying to, on occasion, they're just beat Coles at their own game, just trying to shift it, keep the ball moving as much as they can. Wound up in some really, really good territory, bit of side to side, and just unfortunately for them at that stage, it's just not forward right at the critical juncture.
Well, not great news if you are a Burnside fan. Blair Marshall is on the ground and getting treatment. That is not somebody, Zach Ellis. Geez, my eyes are getting old. Zach Ellis on the, not that you care more for Blair Marshall than you do about Zach Ellis, but he certainly is a linchpin of the side.
No, I don't really care too much about Zach Ellis, to be honest. No, love him. He's having a really, really good game so far as well. Some of the hits he's put in have been absolutely brilliant. Just think he's just taken a little bit of a knee there just to try and get Burnside to regather their thoughts.
So we are ticking down towards half-time on the Voitech scoreboard, and 14 points to 10. Burnside lead this one. They jumped out early doors and 2 tries very, very on. Old Collegians have managed to get themselves back into it. McDonough. And Rockaborough will send it away, and again we see the power of Mother Nature. And it will be a Burnside lineup 40 metres out.
Very good exit play from Collegians, well put together. First carry from Liam McDonough, and then a box kick and found touch, and out 40 metres out.
Another messy line out, and Old Coles will turn it over, and McDonough gets to get the leash off somewhat. Lamsam did not come back through the gate. Curtin. Flat ball again to Fleetwood Piper. Fleetwood Piper will then send it to Coutser. Coutser has one to beat. Does beat him, but the covering comes across. Good offload to Fleetwood Piper. Now it's about the leg strength of Fleetwood Piper. Just short Burnside players streaming back in defence. They managed to slow it down just about enough. Old Cole still have possession. Decide one pick and go. Finally they will reset. They've had a couple of bites at it. What advantage they did have out in the backsline has disappeared. Rockerborough to Curtin. Curtin to Busby. Busby, he will go over. And in the shadows of half time, Old Collegians will hit the front with the kick to come. That's just numbers.
That's numbers pushing wide, but it started from a stolen line out, which has been such a strength of Burnside. I think it was Campion who got up and stole that and then pushed it wide to the right-hand side with Coutser and Fleetwood Piper connecting, and then pushed it back the other way, and acres of space for Jake Busby.
Horrible, horrible position for Golden Jet to be in, where you've got to try and push and hope that somebody's coming inside, and just ran out of numbers. I thought that Old Collegians had dropped their bundle somewhat, because they had everybody, all basically 90% of the Burnside team were offside. They just couldn't get it out.
They couldn't get it out, but what we sort of, probably what you talked about earlier, Dave, is consolidating off those breaks. So there was a break down the sideline, they consolidated, they waited. There's maybe one little pick and go in there just to wait, because once you've made that field territory, you're in a strike range. So just relax, push it again, and we've got a successful conversion on the stroke of half time.
So 17 points to 14. Just have another look at that. And Old Collegians fighting back and taking the lead for the first time today. As we tick over into red time for this first half. And a floaty restart. Rockerborough out the back. Has to hit green. It does hit green and bounces away.
Oh, Rockerborough's boot is on song today. Those clearances, the forwards will be loving this.
And it's amazing how we just swing back and forward. Like you talked about body language before. Old Collegians are up and about, and Burnside just a little bit flat, whereas 10 minutes ago, the opposite way around.
I know, and again, we saw it in the game 2 weeks ago, and we referenced it quite a lot over that finals weekend the following day, but just swinging back and forth, pendulum swinging all the time. It can go one way, then the other.
That's another line-out steal for Old Collegians, and those are the stats that are racking up that coaches do not like to see. You've got to be able to rely on your set piece. And again, Old Cole's happy to just take it off in bite-sized chunks. Then Curtin, who sends a horrible-looking pass, and Barker can pounce on it. Curtin has to go and tidy up his own mess, which he does, and then just a little knock-on from Alan Henson, and that has got Old Collegians out of jail.
Yeah, I think it's a great break from Tony Barker, and again the oncoming Old Collegians defender, just really intriguing foot race there between the two. And I think when the ball's gone down, when Tony's gone over, I think what he'd probably just be better off and better suited to do is just keep hold of it, let the support come, clear out that ruck area and then build. Instead he's tried to go for an offload. By the time the Burnside player, I think it's Alan Hempson this time, has reached it, it's already at his ankles, and it's forced to knock on.
Yeah, very lucky from Old Collegians there. Off a pass that looked as in two minds, and then it came badly out of the hands and swooped upon immediately. The intercept kings are Burnside, and always sniffing around looking for those opportunities. So I'm very fortunate. I had a little stress moment there seeing that, almost closed my eyes.
Rockerborough away to that far side to Busby. Busby then will send it to Coutser. Coutser has to work back inside to the safety of numbers. Rockerborough again has Blackall on the charge. Oof. Right at his knees went Sambrook. Old Coles again. Ripped away and stolen by Burnside. Rockerborough will make the tackle in the backfield. Rahali. Nobody back there. McDonough will get there. There's a huge amount. Just has to get rid of it, and does. And that will be half time. We are going to take a step out. We will just try and catch our breath. We'll be back with you for half number 2. So welcome back to half number 2, and anyway, I'll try and go back to that conversation I had with Shane Barr, whereas players are committing offences at the ruck, but because it doesn't have a material effect and there's play they're on, they get away with that. I feel like Burnside are being very, very smart with that today. They are managing to slow this ruck down right in the grey area of the interpretation of the law.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If you obviously, I know I would say that, but no, but on the grand scheme of things, you've got to be able to be in a position where you can prod and push buttons, and you can sow a seed of doubt in the referee and just do things that are encroaching in those grey areas to try and make it advantageous to you. Now, Burnside know full well that in order to get a good result in this game, that they've got to try and strangle Collegians in that area so it doesn't enable them to get that fast ball that they so thrive on.
Yeah, and the age-old battle of the policeman versus the criminal continues. The laws are there and everybody looks to bend them. Penalty. Releasing. Lamsam will go. Whoa, Bartlett had him lined up and missed him completely. It's a good yardage. Now they're away again. And early we're seeing Burnside on the lion's share, and Walton goes for a gallop. Finally Kuntzer will get him. I don't think he knew what to do with that much open space. Now they're away again. Meredith decided against giving it, then we'll give it inside. Big contact, Busby got hold of him. Lots of space down that blind side, but just couldn't get away. It was Busby who did just enough. Meredith to Rahali. Short ball, and then they'll look to rebuild. Rahali again to Marshall. Dawes had managed to read it. Again, it's messy at the breakdown. Burnside knocking on the door again. Lamsam had numbers outside, decides he doesn't need them, and Lamsam will score.
Well, it's another unbelievable start to a half of Burnside. It's just crisp, patient play, and it's a couple of areas that they've looked at, just a couple of pick and goes, trying to tie in some of the old Collegians defence. Sees the opportunity to go out wide, a couple of decoy runners in there. Sin, I think that there's a bit of numbers in their favour out wide, and it's a very, very well executed try from Nigel.
One of those where you had two outside him. It's one of those you have to score. If you don't score that one, there's two very angry Burnside players.
Well, he did also start that whole phase of play with a quick tap, so he was making sure that decision he made was finishing with points. And I'm not sure what the Collegians say, in the coaching before the start of the game and at half time, because it's not working at the moment. A sluggish start from Collegians and not matching up in defensive numbers, and it's another cracking start to a half from Burnside.
It's sluggish, it's only like 2 minutes old, so I mean, it's a real tough one. Nobody really had a chance to get anything done. We'd only just really sort of settled into our position, and Meredith, really good kick. Crowd told you before the assistants did. Gone over. 21 points to 17. A 4-point difference at the moment. Cultured left foot of Pete Cross, returning the ball to midfield. We are multitasking today. So Curtin will restart. It's not going to go the 10. Burnside have played at it though. And knocked it on. In the immortal words of Alex Rockaborough, Coach Killer.
That was just right on the line, wasn't it? So I think that Fagan's just caught in a bit of indecision as to whether to or not to go for it. Not too sure what communication he's had from behind him there, but it's a good kick from Rockaborough. It's right on the fringes there, and it forces a decision. Burnside have gone to play it, and it's just I think that indecisiveness has probably just caught Fagan out a little bit there.
Blindside is absolutely wide open, so this is a starter move we've seen from old Collegians before. They'll bring the blindside winger across. It's no blindside winger covering anything, so there's a huge amount of work for this near side and Jacob Devlin to do if they do decide to go here.
Yeah, if Old Collegians can get a slight wheel on the scrum, a legal wheel, it could put Gary Mann in some massive space.
Well, Barker's you've got to sort of look after Coutser, but it's interesting. Wheel has come. Fleetwood Piper goes short. Lamsam's got hands on though. Yeah, got to let go on the floor, Nigel.
Yeah, he's gone. He's done really well to get his hands on, and the referee's allowed it to play on, but then he's held on to it as he was being scragged along there by the Old Collegians oncoming support. So, as is letter of the law, it's a penalty.
I thought the Burnside halfback did very, very well to disrupt that as best as he could. Because that's a starter. It's a favourite starter move of Old Collegians to bring the blindside winger across. We see Fleetwood Piper get a lot of good from it.
Yeah, we've seen it a lot, the little pod of backs that stand around Jack Curtin and create some indecision in the opposition backlines, and also then opens up a massive blindside. So there's a lot of variations from that standing from the Collegians, and hopefully a completed line out might see these backs ignite again.
So it is a line up to Old Collegians. We saw one driving more from them, missed its target, but Campion will get it. Knocked forward though, so it will be a Burnside scrum. And just talking about set piece, because we talked about it in the Premiership 2 game, it's a massive part of our game. It's been... How do you see the set piece in this one?
Again, I think relative parity really. I don't see there being too many occasions where teams have lost their own set piece against the head in the scrum. Certainly in the line out, it seems to be a bit of a lottery at the moment. It's not solid on either side, but on Burnside's or Collegians.
Burnside scrum, they do manage to come away with it nice and solid. Marshall will lose it forward though, and then Curtin lost it forward, but it will be an Old Collegian scrum.
And from the half, I've just noticed we've had a substitution for Collegians in the backs. The defensive weapon of Liam McDonough has come off for a player who's been away through some of the mid-season, but he's back Ned Morecambe out on the far wing, and he has absolute jet shoes. Those might remember him from one of the first encounters at Parkinson, where he lit up the field for a couple of full length of the field tries.
You would say tactical rather than injury, but Rockerborough to Busby. Busby again slow, and then we'll just put it behind. Back to Coutser. That is a wonderful finish from the South African. We are looking down that line and it's all good for us. That's a fantastic finish from Coutser.
Very clever work there. And Jake Busby actually played a lot of rugby league, and that had little rugby league written all over it, just rolling it perfectly. So we watch it here, just waiting for the defence to come to him before rolling it through.
That's wonderful awareness from Coutser, and not only that, just wonderful kick. Great work from Coutser. I've just been saying, look, I'm looking at Busby as well as he comes back. We did say he was a little bit pedestrian in the first half. He's got a lot of tape on that left hamstring.
Yeah, that's right. I was talking to my cousin Andrew Burgess, just saying, look, he's taken up very slow to the line, but he's dealing with some hamstring issues at the moment. So playing the mental game of rugby, knowing that he doesn't quite have the pace currently to fully explode, and that time to perfection, just allowed the defence to come to him, made some space, and wonderfully finished by Coutser in the corner.
Well, as per usual with these two sides, Burnside didn't go. They could have gone. They didn't ask. So they could have gone and they just chose not to. But as per usual in this fixture, it's 1 point in it. Your go, then your go. Sends it on its way. The wind's going to get hold of it. How's the distance? Just not there. So we are 22 points to 21 on the Wojtek scoreboard. Get a good look on it on this way. He steps out and then comes back in and gets it. It's about as good as it gets from Kuta. That boy can finish.
Yeah, it's a perfectly well executed try, and again, you've got to try stuff like that in the 22, because particularly when there's an opportunity to turn defenders inwards,
Just break out because no, it's okay. Barker has managed to save it. He's done very, very well considering, and then is met hard. Is there anything from Old Collegians as far as the counter ruck goes? No, Burnside have done enough. Slow and messy, but they've got it away. Then back to Rahali. Penalty. That has got Burnside out of jail.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a heart in mouth moment there. That from Barker just looked as though it was on its way out, and that would have been a hell of a mistake. But he's recovered really well from that error, and Burnside been able to clear their lines and get a penalty in their favour.
Some really interesting reactions from both of you. Not out is the call, and that one isn't, but that's knocked on. Advantage, and it's going to be knocked on. And
Offside.
yes, he was, and there it is.
Yeah, big blow, because actually I really wanted to have a look at that spot before the kick downfield. I felt the ball did touch the line and did go out after Barker's fumble, but then Coots has fumbled and Burnside right on attack.
Yeah, it's a really interesting one. I mean, look, I get the penalty. He's in front and it's gone forward and he's taken it. It's an interesting one. Anyway, so Burnside will win the line out and try and get them all going. Old Collegians have managed to get it going sideways first, but now it gets going forward. Ball is at the back and over the line. Devlin looked for it. Try giving to Devlin. Keep everybody in suspense. Driving Maul and Devlin saw a gap, just dove over the line.
This is just absolutely insane, isn't it? I mean, it goes one way. The ascendancy looks to be with Old Coles, and then just a mistake like that, or just a little bit of an error, just brings Burnside back into the game. A couple of picks and drives. There's a really good maul that they've got set up there, and it was initially looked as though it was going to be repelled there from Collegians, but they've just found a way to get on over. It's a good score, and Jacob Devlin will be a very, very happy man.
It's been a bizarre. We're in the twilight zone again with these two teams. It's been absolutely incredible, because I was going to talk about the reactions, because Rockerborough just kick came off and you groaned, and then Barker didn't collect it, and then you groaned, and then it was okay, and then they kicked back that way and Kuntzer knocked it on and you groaned again. It's weird.
It is, and the attack is just very good from both teams, and maybe you could put that on the other thing. Maybe the defence isn't as good as we see, just again falling short. I think the kickers need to move those tees just 5 metres forward. It's all tries, isn't it? Really either side to go through will need to work on this, as the strike power of Brighton will make hay with some of the defensive errors that are being made of allowing such quick tries once a team's in the 22.
Seems like a basketball game has broken out at Dry Creek. Marshall, Rockerborough lining him up and didn't get him, and Marshall will run away. It's away from a couple more as well. Not even at 55 minutes on the Wojtek scoreboard. The Burnside will go again. Rahale pulls it out the back. Meredith. Met by Fleetwood Piper. Another slow one and a penalty. And Meredith wants to go and does go. Bartlett gets him. Groans from the crowd. Gonna stop the clock. To have a chat. It was big and strong from Bartlett. I didn't quite see the legs go over 90. I don't think it's a penalty for being rough, is there?
No, for myself, as a collegian, but I didn't see a lot wrong with that. It's just overpowered him and slammed him on the plane of his back. So, apart from the jeers from the Burnside supporters over that side, it was just good physical tackle.
Yeah, I'm nodding my head in complete agreement, mate. I think that's. I think it seemed like it was relatively reasonable. So I don't know whether that was for maybe not 10. I don't think it was, but seemed all right to me.
I think there was something going on the ruck. There's a little knock on the floor though, and the rivalry continues to just bubble.
It's really strange because in the 3 games prior to this game taking place, it's been relatively friendly. It's been just two good teams going at it, and now actually for the first time this season we're seeing just the pressure of exactly what there is to play for. It's a spot in the grand final at the end of the day, and little bits of argy-bargy are kicking in that we perhaps haven't normally been familiar with in this particular rivalry.
But it's heating up and we don't mind it on a cold afternoon. Just do it a bit closer to us, gentlemen. See whether we can get a little bit warmer. But it's a really interesting one. Look, I'm going to get on my own little personal soapbox, but I do feel that if you give a penalty for rough conduct or something, I don't know how you would police it, but I would like to see it mandated that if there is a penalty for rough conduct or anything like that, and there's a little bit of a blow up just before the penalty, then you must kick for touch. Because I think what happens is you have that penalty and everyone's having a little bit of a go at each other, and what's going to happen is you're going to have a tap penalty. Someone's going to go 100 miles an hour, it'll happen, it'll blow up again. And I don't think it's hard because it's a spectacle, it's fun, it's in our game, but it's not what we want to show.
It's not what we want to show, but I know certainly from playing a fly half roll, often straight after a bit of a blow up and scuffles, you might want to kick for touch. But if one of those guys who's involved's got the ball under his wing, he's got one idea in mind, and that's, I'm going to go with this, I'm going to tap, I'm going to run, who's with me?
Yeah, and you know that what's going to happen from that. You know that we're going to end up with it again. Hey, I don't know. Is it? Yeah, it's a tough one. Changes for Burnside. I did see Brown enter the fray.
Yeah, so Kiri Brown's gone on to the flank. Chris Pasaka's gone into number 8, and Blair Marshall's moved into the second row.
Bit of a messy scrum and knocked on at the back from Rockerborough. And again, lots of patting on backs, and this Burnside crowd over that far side is incredibly vocal.
Yeah, they are giving a great voice. It means so much to a very proud club, Burnside, and 2 neighbour clubs we have here who are, just to knock the other one out of the grand final is a grand final in itself. Tom, you know yourself the hype around just getting to a grand final and the joy of sending the opposition as such fierce rivals, finishing their season is a win in itself right there.
So that answers the question on McDonough. He's come back with a head guard on, so I don't know whether he's got a little cut or something, but I was surprised that they took him off because he gives you so much defensively. Old Coles will win the scrum. Paseka will go over on that far side. Ball at the back of the ruck, Lamsam to Marshall. Lamsam again in at half back to Rahale, pulled out the back. Little inside show. Bobbled around. Little knock on. Meredith asking for deliberate. I don't feel that it was deliberate.
Well, I'm glad you guys don't, because I felt it did have a little bit of deliberately intentions to it.
I think he's got to be making a reasonable attempt to get the ball, I think, is what should be happening.
And it's a tough one if there's an attempted pass over the top. The only way to try and intercept it is to put a hand up to tap it down to yourself. So it's often they'll talk about the action of the hand where you're trying to pop it up to yourself, but if the attacking player is trying to loop it over a top of player, the only way to try and intercept is to tap it down from above.
So another scrum to Burnside, and Paseka again will start them off. Rahale. No look pass. They can be dangerous, and it hits the ground. Burnside have to tidy it up again. Slight 4-point lead for them at the moment. And pick and drive, which is all they could do really. Graham didn't quite beat the cleanup. Lamsam again. I had a long chat with Wayne Vincent last week about Nigel Lamsam. He is a match winner. You want him in and on your side in these types of games. Dummy runner absolutely wiped out Jack Campion. Devlin again. Rahali out the back to Jep. Jep is hit hard. Did well to keep his feet, but then the old Collegians will stream over the top of it. Enough done. Old Cole's might. Oh, they've been close. And then the short ball to Brown. Brown with one to beat. Couldn't quite get there. Forced inside. So close to the line. Marshall rolls around. Tries to get there. Try given. Blair Marshall will score.
Yeah, and it's all just started to boil over a little bit now because I think both sides definitely recognise the importance of that try being scored at this juncture in the game. But you have to say, credit to Burnside on this as well. They've played phase after phase after phase. It's been nice, it's been controlled, it's been quite quick, and they've just waited for gaps to open up and appear out of nowhere for them. Kieru Brown, got to give kudos to him because he's made the initial break and he's done really well. And I think it's just power that's just taken Blair over there to go and score the try. And then there's a little bit of afters on there, but look, there's a lot riding on the game. It's important for both teams. It's going to happen. It's an elimination final.
Yeah, as Tom said, the phase count really built up. We must have got close to 20 phases there before Burnside of just the cracks appear. You can only defend for so long, and yeah, Brown with a wonderful break to start it off, and they'll be very happy with their work they put in to get that try, and at a crucial time in the match.
Well, trying to be the voice of reason, not that anybody can hear me. Certainly, these guys, as we've said, there's a little bit of afters in all of them. You certainly don't want to be on the winning side and then sat down for the grand final for doing something silly after a try. So Old Coles again have given themselves a gap that they have to close.
Yeah, it's the unfortunate thing, the slow start to the first half and the slow start to the very first bit of the second half, of making it hard work, but they need to switch right back on and be the next one to score.
Less worry about the restart. Brown will lose it forward and Old Coles will get it back. Rumble called again, which just leads to a pick and drive. No advantage from the knock on, so it will be a scrum. And you would think we're just over an hour on the Wojtek scoreboard. If Old Collegians can score from this one, it keeps things interesting.
Yeah, it's still a long time to go in this game, Dave, and a lot can happen. We've seen how many times it's chopped and changed and gone in favour of one team and then the other. And look, we've still got 20 minutes plus, red time as well. So there's there's still no way, even though that there's an 11-point deficit at the moment, there's still no way. I don't think you can call this game just yet.
No, I mean, we've seen some wonderful battles between these two over the ages. I think there's been a lot that have been won by 1 point. So Harrison Rahali is just getting some treatment. But it's funny, you could hear a pin drop here at the moment. Certainly the players are doing everything they can to suck in the big ones. Normally you would see them get together and have a chat about something, but all very, very quiet at the moment. Does have a feeling of the calm before the storm. Rahali is back with us, and it will be an Old Collegians scrum to start. I think if you look at the set piece, we talked about it, the scrums have been fairly equal. Old Collegians have done okay in the lineup, and then they've just started to mess each other's up. Haven't really seen much of Gary Mann though yet so far.
No, Burnside have done well and probably learned from the last week, where as we see getting cleared here straight away.
Curtin has Bartlett on the short line, and he does manage to make some yardage. Bang in the centre, and Rahali again is slow to get up. Now they're away. Curtin throws it at the feet of Busby, but Busby does well and sends it out to McDonough. McDonough does well and steps back in to Mann. Mann will take on a couple of Burnside players in the midfield. Out to Curtin again. Curtin will step inside of Walton. Manages to roll around a couple as well. They've got him up. Can they keep him up? No. Manages to get to ground. Old Cole's just looking to knock down the door in the midfield. Turned over. Walton's got it. Walton looking to get away. Holds his feet for as long as he can. Then out the back to Rahali. And Rahali will just put boot to ball. How's the bounce? Bounce will skip away towards the Old Collegians try line. Coutsa has it. No thoughts about getting rid of it. Manages to get it out the back to Fleetwood Piper. Fleetwood Piper takes on Brown. Wins on the inside. Then we'll take on a couple. Devlin gets him. But they have managed to get it back out almost to halfway. Rockaborough has to go mining, but gets there. Busby again. Floats it over the top to McDonough. McDonough comes back inside. Big contact from Jep. Curtin. Busby. Fleetwood Piper. Now they get a 2-on-1. And away to Coutsa. Coutsa tries to get around the outside and does. And Coutsa will dot it down. We said they needed to score and need to score early. And they managed it.
They did. That was great. It started from great work from Coutsa, from chancing his arm of running that back after the great kick downfield from Harrison, and then either player was actually in for the gap then, and really good pace from Coutsa to finish.
It was nice to see the 2-on-1 and done well.
Yeah, it's a really well executed try for Collegians that as well, and just echoing what Crossy's just said there as well. The return from the kick was really good because the chase was actually really good from Burnside's perspective as well. Between Coutsa and also I think Fleetwood Piper, they've been able to put themselves in a good position. Hands have done it. I actually thought Bolcom was going to catch him then and Romelu out of touch, but then I just also remembered, Hanky, don't be stupid. Coutsa's just fast as anything.
Yeah, Coutsa is an absolute deadly finisher. Changing the kicker for Curtin, and he's missed that one. He is an absolutely deadly finisher, Coutsa, and not for the first time in a broadcast that we've seen. He's on a hat-trick. So it will be, and I apologise, ladies and gentlemen, I think hopefully I will make the end of this game with 12 minutes to go plus red time.
It's been a big weekend of commentating for you, Dave, after
It's
the
been
NRC.
the last month has been a lot, to be fair. Coutsa sits underneath it. Coutsa will take on Brown. Brown makes the tackle. Blackhall beats the first one. Rockaborough. Good hands on from Lamson, but it doesn't beat the clean out. Away they go again. Flat ball to Busby. Busby finds a little bit of a gap. Just couldn't get past player. It's open play. I don't know why people are complaining about offside. Ellis. Marshall will go. Kasaker on the short line. Immelman to Meredith. Meredith puts the ball on the boot. It comes off an Old Collegians foot, so that's going to work very, very well.
Just don't know what way this is going to go, guys. What I have seen is some substitution from Burnside. So looks like looks like Harrison succumbed to his injuries. Leon Immelman coming on at 9 with Hodgson moving back to the 10 spot. But 10 minutes left plus red time. This is going to be.
Walton has managed to snaffle it at the front. He's going to try and find a way through. Walton can't quite get there. Just a whistle. And that actually came from an old Collegians steal. There's a lot of concern for a player on the ground.
Yeah, it could be Walton down after that quick awareness to catch old Collegians, just second guessing who was going to take that between Mark Darby and Alex Rockabara. I think they both watched it and Walton came screaming through the middle.
Well, this is the first time we've seen Mark Darby. Is that an enforced change?
Yeah, not too sure. I think it's just a case of fresh legs. Mark Darby's been excellent in the second grade for old Collegians, so given a chance to come in as a bit of a finisher for Collegians. But at those moments like that, get the hands on the ball, son, and have a crack.
Well, I can't see Chris Walton, so I think that is Chris Walton who's on the floor. He probably knows his body more than anybody else, really. It's the knee that's already taped. It doesn't look too healthy.
No, substitution requested by Henry McGregor, the physio, as well, for him to come off. He's had a very good game, Chris Walton, as well. So that's it's a bit of a big loss. So it looks as though, just judging from who's coming on, that it's probably going to be Kieran Sandbrook who might be coming on in his place, who jump in on hooker.
And I think they finally pulled the pin on Liam McDonough as well. Whatever they've done to him hasn't helped. And just might take a moment to talk about Chris Walton. Absolutely one of the absolute gems of the game. Absolute gentleman of rugby. Been a pleasure to watch him play. Hopefully he's fine. But the way he's come off, I don't think that's going to be ready for next week if they're playing next week. So thank you very much for everything you've shown us over the last 3 years, Chris Walton, and hopefully we'll see him running around again next year. The man that can never retire.
No, I don't think he's going to be calling this a day anytime soon. And look, who knows? See what can pan out for the week. Just depends on what the situation this game's going to end, because still can't call it.
Burnside getting the ascendancy in the scrum. Immelman will go to Hodges. Hodges will drop it back inside. Couldn't quite get away. Immelman again to Marshall, to Paseka. Bartlett just about got him. They're away again. Just straightened but couldn't break through. Trying to find any level of gap. Marshall again, 5 meters out. A little bit upright and Kutzer will get him. Just trying to bull their way over the line. Still trying to get there. Numbers out to the left. And to the right, it's dropped. Go! Oh, they were nearly away. Penalty though for offside. You two are going quiet because it's too nervy. I'm going quiet because my voice is giving it. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll try and get someone to give you subtitles or something. Just sit back and enjoy the rugby.
Well, of all the people that ball fell into, Ned Morecambe, a guy that was, if that was allowed to play on, he was going the full distance without a doubt. And I was out of my chair with excitement when that happened. But Burnside still on the attack. Great defence from Collegians and patience as well. No penalties, even right on that try line. But ascendancy here from Burnside, controlling field position, another attacking chance. Unless there can be a great turnaround, I feel it's really swung the way of the guys in the double blues.
It's the final 5 minutes, so this is a big scrum for both of these clubs. It has to go well for Burnside, which it does. Trying to find a way through again. Immelman comes out. Steps inside. Gets towards the line. Couldn't quite get there, but Burnside still going. Big long loopy pass out to Barker, who can't quite bring it in. But there's a penalty. Offside again. It's 2 in the red zone. So we do tick into the final 5 minutes. Penalty for offside. A kick at goal would take them out of a converted try, but they're going to go for a scrum.
Yeah, I think they will, and I think Tom can see the intention here. He's looked at just attack, control the ball, and actually you're in front, so yes, you can have a shot at goal, but while they got possession, there's nothing Old Collegians can do.
True, it's that certainly clock management is very, very important at the moment.
It is, and you're seeing it more so rather than the choice at goal. It's a bit of a new initiative, I think, across rugby of seeing, well, if we actually got possession, we don't need more points.
No, but you must keep hold of the ball for 5 minutes. Immelman to Hodges. Into midfield. Manages to get away from Busby. Fleetwood Piper will come. Arm will go out. It's another high one. Oh, and that's a bad one. That's a real bad one from Bartlett. They could defend some of them, but not that one, Chipsy. I would be surprised if that's not red. I mean, the high one from Piper, Fleetwood Piper, I would have thought would be a yellow, but Bartlett's is a real bad one. It's only a yellow. That may be different in the week coming up. The first one for Fleetwood Piper, I think he's got away with that one, but that's not a good one.
Yeah, like Chipsy, he got a lot of time for him, and a really good lad on and off the field, but like you say, some things you just can't defend, and once the legs have gone up to that angle, despite the attempts on how you're going to put him down, it's an immediate yellow. I know you were saying red, but no, it's referees decided to go yellow. There was Bolcombe's done really well to get away there from the grasp of I think it was Fleetwood Piper. So again, Burnside still able to potentially build on this lead that they've got at the moment.
Well, the molehill has just become a mountain for Old Collegians because there are players down in midfield. Bolcombe shows inside, and then we'll go out to Barker, and Barker will go over the line, and you would think that will be that for Burnside. As we get close to the end of this one, and just numbers, and there was always going to be issues in the backsline having just lost Bartlett.
Yeah, that was always going to be a huge one for Collegians when they're going a man down, but even more so from Burnside's perspective, because you still got to take advantage of that, and it's not always the easiest thing, and it's not always as easy as you expect it to be the case. But what they've done there is a really good pick up from the scrum. Some really nice play from Bolcombe there, just to show you such a lovely looping pass, missing out Sean Meredith, going over to Tony Barker to go and score. There's still a lot of time left in this game on the grand scheme of things. I know it says 2 minutes on your clocks, but we've got some red time as well to play. I'm still twitching, I must say.
There'll be a fair bit of red time as well, because there has been some lengthy stoppages really. But Meredith will want to kick this one over. It's 11 points the difference as we stand. Sends it on the way, it looks good, it's just about the distance now, and again they haven't quite got it.
Yeah, tip of the hat from Burnside, perfectly executed an overlap. It's just the moment Chris Bartlett went to the bench, they had a little pick and pop, which created another extra player, and then a lovely gliding pass. So this is a real tall ask for Old Collegians now.
Driven that time at Ellis. Ellis will take it in. Immelman. Forsaker's come off the long run on the boundary, but it doesn't matter because Lamsam's going to get away. Lamsam puts the ball to boot. That's not a bad option from the Samoan. It will be an Old Collegians ball, but it will be in the shadow of their own goal line.
Yeah, a beautiful breakout, and just what Collegians didn't want. Just had to make sure the defence was great so they could have maybe a clearance kick to attack from, and allowed Nigel to just actually glide through. I think he put it on the toes, probably a bit tired, but it's worked out great.
Burnside have stolen it again. Marshall. Immelman again to Hodges. Hodges and an inside ball to Barker. Barker trying to find a way through, can't get through. Another little pick and drive. Turned over. Not releasing on the ground.
Must tap and go pretty much from Collegians. Not sure of how much time is left here. We're in the red on our time we see, and so really if they're going for touch, and they'll have to do a very quick line out to try and save as much time as possible for two scores, two converted scores required.
They'll always be able to play the lineup. So they will go first phase from here. It's very, very nervy, but we talked about Nigel Lamson. Old Collegians will get that one. That one will bounce its way to Curtin. And a flat ball. Took it very, very hard, very, very straight. Curtin had to go get it. Campion had to go get it. Blackhall shows and goes. A duo of double blue shirts get him. And a foul play report. I think that was the late hit on Rockerborough from Marshall. So that will be what it is. And I just want to take a second to talk about Nigel Lamson. We talked about how he will win you a game and he'll be there or thereabouts. I think the only way of actually finding out how old he is would be to carbon date him. But he's still going. He was playing A-grade rugby 10 years ago when I started, and he does not look like slowing down.
No, and I reckon 10 years ago he probably was at least 37 at that stage as well, mate. But no, he just keeps going. It seems to be one of the gifts that keeps on giving. But what he gives you is just, and he can be frustrating sometimes for a halfback because he kind of gets in the way and does the job for you a bit.
So again, this old Collegians line-out has struggled since the change at hooker, and Brown will steal one. Sambrook goes into midfield. Now it is about ball retention and clock management. Marshall. Sorry, that's Ellis. Massive contact. Out the back, and he's looked to kick, and he's kicked possession away. Fortunately, it takes a Burnside bounce and goes into touch. If you're going to kick to a counter-attacker like Cooter, you've got to make sure it goes to touch.
Yeah, wind in the sails for Burnside now. The rub of the green is going their way, and quick line out from old Collegians though to keep.
And it's gone again, and it's found its way. Penalty for offside. So old Collegians will look to find a way through. We are in red time. 2 scores in red time is a massive, massive ask. So Rockerborough will push them at least into, well, nearly into Burnside territory. Derby has to get one right. It's been a mess so far since the change at hooker. Go back to that 2.5. Stolen again. Lamsam gets hands on. And it will go back to Hodges. Back to Meredith. Meredith will put the ball on the boot. Coutser will get bundled out on that far side, and it will be a Burnside lineup. I have to say it's a tactic that's working, but it feels like Burnside are the ones chasing points at the moment. They just keep kicking possession away.
Yeah, I know. I think, as I say, it's just game management and trying to wind down the clock as much as they can. I'm guessing they'd be asking the question to the referee as to how long's left to go. But what they've just done is just put a line out down into territory in their favour. It's actually quite intelligent play, in all fairness.
As long as you're getting it, you're getting it. But it did end up in the hands of Coutser, so a little bit of luck rather than good game management, I think. But sometimes your luck is there. That is cynical. And it was Gary Mann Lamson gallops over, but Meredith has already gone. Not going to let him play though. Not entirely sure what Meredith did wrong. Just see the finish from Barker, and that's probably going to be the decisive one, you would think.
Yeah, I think so, and unfortunately at the worst time of the game the line out has fallen apart on Collegians, as it did the week before with Brighton. Towards the end of the game when they really needed it most, it just hasn't been clinical, and it's started off with old Collegians stealing the Burnside lineouts, and now it's been a flip at the money end of the game.
So Brighton are awaiting the winner of this game, and you would probably say if this kick is successful, it will be a repeat of the 2018 Grand Final and the 2017 Grand Final. Could it be third time lucky for Burnside, or will Brighton just continue to assert their dominance on this league in South Australia as Meredith drives it? It will go out the back for a 22 dropout. This is a big old week. That shows you how long we've had. Bartlett will make his way back onto the field. Our curtain goes short and Sambrook catches it on the full. Hodges sits in at 9. Immelman takes over. Ellis. Immelman again to Marshall. Lamsam has to step backwards for it. Marshall again. Manages to shake a way through. Again, Burnside will go. Immelman to Hodges. Sambrook on a very, very short line, but forward. And that will be that. So as it was in 17, as it was in 18, it will be again in 19, and Brighton will face Burnside. This time it's opposite. Brighton with the minor premiers. Brighton look good all year. Will that be a good omen for Burnside? Crossy, I know it's difficult for you. Your thoughts?
Just brutal to watch that. Yeah, just absolutely very dejected feeling from an old Collegians team that really hit its straps this season with so much firepower across the park, and I really think that first 10 minutes coming out, digging out of that 14-point hole that they were in. But well done to Burnside. I think that high phase play has put them in a good shot against Brighton. If they can play that style of game of getting up into the high teens, even 20 phases, you'll get points. So, Tom Hankey, I wish your fellas the best of luck.
So, here we go. It is grand final week for you at Burnside, and you've been there, and it's 2 years in a row now that you've fallen at the final hurdle. Does anything change?
Well, I think it's a tough one to say, because I mean we've done really well to get to this stage now. I think you've got to focus in on it now. It's the celebrations will be quite limited in terms of the turnaround time. Burnside have a very quick turnaround now versus Brighton's couple of weeks that they would have had off at that stage. We've got to look, I think, and archive footage of how Brighton have played and look to try and counteract away. But I think we've shown today, I think Burnside has shown today that if they can stick to a certain way of playing, if they can play to strengths, and if they can just make some minor tweaks and adjustments in defensive areas, then it can well be their grand final. I will say a kudos to Collegians, because they've played some absolutely outstanding rugby this year and have been a genuine pleasure to watch. But yeah, attention now moves on to grand final next Saturday.
So the grand finals are set, and we will be there And we will show you all of them. The women's, Adelaide University taking on Southern Suburbs. Premiership 2, Port Adelaide will take on Woodville. And in the Premier Grade, the Coopers Premier Grade, Brighton will take on Burnside. Ladies and gentlemen, my name as always has been Dave Webber, who's joined today by Pete Cross and Tom Hankey from Dry Creek. Thank you very much for joining us and good afternoon.
Shit.